right. Well, good Wednesday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go on and talk about the weather. And we have some stuff that we are going to go on and talk about for tonight. The main topic, as you can see on the screen right now, we are back to talking about the tropics. The tropics are starting back hot. And I hope you can see what I did there with hot, because we've been talking about for hot weather for so long now. Um, and it's still going to be hot. Tropics are going to start back hot, and it already is. We have two areas of interest that we are already watching for right now, and we're going to switch things up today. We're actually going to talk about the tropics first, and then we're going to get into the regular forecast. So we'll get into that in just a moment. If you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, please go on and do so. Also hit the share button, share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, people that you don't talk to regularly. It's free, it's free, it's free. It is free, always, and always will be. So let's go on first off and look on what's on tap for tonight. Well, obviously we know quiet tonight, generally dry with low rain chances. And as we move on, highs climbing into the mid to upper 90s Thursday and Friday. Heat indices rising above 100 degrees, maybe even some heat advisories. Continued hot conditions with heat indices around 100 to 105 throughout the weekend. And then a cold front or trough may bring higher convection and a slight cooling early next week. Tropical development in the Gulf as well. So all of that we're going to go on and talk about. But first, before we even get there, let's look at what's going on with the NHC. So again, we're going to start off with the tropics first. Then we're going to go on and talk about the forecast for the state of South Carolina. So we have two areas. You see one over there inside of the Atlantic. Over here, it says showers and thunderstorms associated with a tropical wave located southeast of the Cabo Verde Islands have become slightly better organized since yesterday. Some additional slow development is possible during the next couple of days, while the system moves generally west to northwest at about 10 miles per hour. By this weekend, the system is then forecasted to move into a less conducive environment, and further development is not expected. So again, by this weekend, the system is forecasted to move inside of a less conducive environment, and further development is not expected at this time. So, this has a 10% chance of forming over the next 48 hours and over the next 7 days. So this is a now or never for this type of storm system, at least what I like to say, now or never. Either it's going to form or it's not going to. Because as you move into this weekend, it's going to move into a less conducive environment. So if it wants to form, it needs to form like almost like right now. I'm going to the next couple of days before the weekend hits. Now, this is the area over here that, we're looking at, but I'm not really too concerned about. I'm not too concerned about this area over here. The area that I'm more looking at is over here in the Gulf. This area over here inside the Gulf. You can see disturbance number 2. An area of low pressure is forecasted to form during the weekend over the northeastern Gulf. Some gradual development of the system is possible while it moves slowly northeast over the northeastern Gulf and near the coast of the southeastern United States early next week. So this has a 0% chance of forming over the next 48 hours and a 20% chance of forming over the next 7 days. So overall, this system over here, it's very close to us. It's right off the coast of Florida, and it's going to move right off the coast of South Carolina as we move into next week. So this will be something that we may have to watch for. Will it form into a tropical storm? Will it form into a hurricane? Well, we'll see. We're going to check out the models. But for right now, it could still bring us some impacts. I mean, there could be some rainfall associated with it. There could be, some storms that are associated with some, wind. All that stuff is in the possibility here. So we're going to continue to just watch for it, continue to try and forecast it and see what it's going to be and where it's going to be. But for right now, like I said, a 0% chance over the next 48 hours and a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days. So now as we go over into the models, ensembles first, we're going to start off with the ECENS, which is the European ensemble. Now, you can look at a lot of places here. Definitely could. But if we go in and push this, push this over here. Leave this over here at the side real quick. Watch as we go on. Oh, that's not going to work. Watch as we go in and move this kind of like forward. We're going to move this over. Time is at the top right corner of your screen right here where it says Friday 7/17. So that's Friday, July the 17th. Watch this area down here inside of off the west of Africa. And then you see just to the south of the Cabo Verde Islands. You have a big amount of confidence that something's going to happen. You see that there's a lot of members down there that are saying that something is going to form. Something is going to form. And then as you move forward into the future, you see the low pressures kind of start to span out a little bit more. But as we move even into Monday, I mean, we're still looking at a good amount of some shower or some organization kind of going on as we move even into Monday, as we move into Tuesday. But then watch as we move into Thursday, watch as we move into Friday. Only a couple of lone tropical actual energy is like kind of there. You see like one line over here, you see one line down here, and that's only about two. Actually, probably only one, I suppose. So honestly, we're not really seeing too much here in terms of this system. And once we get around, like I said, to this weekend going into early next week, a lot of the members kind of just fall off a cliff and say, nah, nothing's really going to happen. Nothing is really going to happen with this thing. And so I do believe that most likely will be the case. That's why I said I'm not really too concerned about this one over here off the coast of Africa, just because I don't really think that it's going to organize into anything huge here. Now, that's just the one, obviously. But remember, we have one inside the Gulf as well. So we're going to zoom in real quick. I'm going to go in and just take a huge snapshot of this entire location. Maybe not. I guess not. Yeah, no, I guess it doesn't want to work. But that's fine. So we can go on and just continue to push this forward. Watch as we get into Thursday. Watch as we get into Friday, Saturday. There goes this weekend. The 19th comes along, and we've been talking about the 19th for a good little bit in terms of tropical activity. And now you're starting to see some low-pressure activity form in the Gulf. You go into Sunday, and then Monday, and look at how many low pressures we start to get down here now. We see a bunch of low pressures starting to get going now over inside the Gulf as we move into around Sunday, Monday or so. And then watch as we move into Monday, going into Tuesday. We have a couple of low pressures that ride the coast of South Carolina, and then you have a couple that kind of span from here and there. So I see some going like towards the north and west through Georgia. I see some low pressure systems kind of going over, off the coast and, producing some. I mean, that's a 975 millibar low pressure. I know that is, one lone model, but I mean that's almost like hurricane force, if not hurricane force. That one member is saying. So if one member is saying it is possible. It is possible for that to happen. So you do see the way more confidence. You see way more confidence in this system than what you see with this one down here inside of the southeastern side. Now, as you move forward, this one doesn't really show too much of anything else. Even as we go into like the next 240 hours or so, you're not really seeing anything else too major over the Atlantic. So I really think it's going to be these two, and then after these two are done, unless something huge changes with the ensembles here, I don't really see too much of anything. Now, again, that was just the European. There are other models as well that we can go in and take a look at. This is the GEFS, so the GFS. The GFS has this one going on down here inside of the southeast. It kind of has it fizzling out. Same thing as the European. I think even quicker even. But then look over here at the Gulf. The Gulf doesn't get active according to the GEFS until probably later on, if any at all. I see Tuesday, a little something, but the GEFS is not really too keen in terms of the Gulf system. It's more keen on probably that southeastern Atlantic system, but it doesn't really show too much as the European is showing. And then if we go on and take a look at the Euro AI model, the Euro AI, has this one down here inside of the southeastern side, disturbance number 1 by Africa, kind of just again fizzling out, not really doing too much of anything as we go into this weekend later on. But look at it in the Gulf. Has a lot more activity than what the GEFS is saying, maybe even more than what the European was saying. And it kind of has it moving its way up towards the coastal areas once again, riding along that eastern coast from Florida all the way up into the New England areas. So a lot of things still are to be figured out here as we move throughout the next 240 hours or so, in terms of tracks and all that kind of stuff. But the confidence for, honestly, like I said, disturbance number 1 down here in the southeastern Atlantic, I'm not really too sure that one's really going to do anything. The one that I'm mainly focusing on right now is the one in the Gulf, because that one could bring some activity, rather if it may be a hurricane, rather if it may be a tropical storm, rather if it may just be a little tropical rainstorm that brings in some rainfall. That's still some type of impact towards the state of South Carolina. So, just because it may not bring in a full-on hurricane or anything like that does not mean that impacts are not going to be felt by us. Now, what will those impacts be? Well, once we get into the GFS for the future and we look at how much rainfall, maybe we could potentially see, we will go on and talk about that. But starting off, let's go on now, because that's pretty much all I have to say here for the tropics for today. So we will go on and talk about the tropics again as we move into, tomorrow and tomorrow night. But for right now, tropics discussion, that's pretty much done with. So we're going to go on and shift over into our main South Carolina focus. And so what is currently going on in terms of the state? Well, it looks like right now that we are seeing nothing. Nothing. No rainfall activity statewide. Rather if you're in the upstate, rather if you're all the way down to the low country areas, or rather if you're over there inside the Grand Strand areas, you're not seeing much in terms of rainfall activity. Now, if we go in and see what's going on in terms of the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on in the southeast. You see some rainfall going on in the south central U.S., so central U.S. seeing some rainfall. You even have some flooding going on in areas of the west with some more storm activity going on over there as well. And then we have some air quality alerts going on over here inside of the New England areas, going on over inside of the more northern Midwest, the upper Great Lakes areas. A lot of active smoke activity that will be going on throughout these areas, especially as you go into tomorrow, with wildfire smoke. So as we go in and take a look at our cloud cover, apparently something's going on with this site right here, so we're just going to have to look at the cloud cover on this map, and honestly, doesn't really show too much of anything for like the upstate, the Midlands, the Grand Strand areas. You see some cloud cover in the low country, you see some in the southern Midlands, but you don't really see too much in terms of the other areas. Now, as you move into tomorrow morning, going into tomorrow afternoon, don't worry, more cloud cover will be on the way for when it comes to shower and storm activity. Tomorrow, we move into Thursday evening, Thursday night, going all the way into Friday morning. Friday morning comes along, and again, we're seeing kind of a bit of a clearing going on, but then as you move into the afternoon, cloud cover is going to be trying to get back to that spotty shower storm activity. Now, in terms of current temperatures right now, we're talking about 81 in Somerville, 81 in Charleston, as well as Beaufort, 82 in Hilton Island, as well as 80 in Murray's Inlet, 81 Myrtle Beach, and 79 in Conway, 85 in Sumter, in Hartsville, even Florence, 85 in Columbia, and 81 in Newberry, 80 Lawrence, and 81 in Greenville, 84 Spartanburg, and as well as 85 in Gaffney, York, and Rock Hill. Now, in terms of air quality, it looks like that we are looking on the good side for the majority of us, but moderate for a couple of areas. You see Florence and Spartanburg and areas around could see some moderate air quality as we move into tonight. If you're in those areas tonight, just make sure that you are not getting too high on that air quality index there. Now, for low temperatures for tonight, we're talking about 72 in Greenville, 71 in Spartanburg, 74, Columbia, even 73 in Orangeburg, Moncks Corner at 73, 77 in Charleston, even 74 in Georgetown, 76 in Myrtle Beach, and even around 73 in Dillon and Aiken. High temperatures for tomorrow, we're talking about 95 in Spartanburg, 94 in Greenville, as well as 95 in Columbia, 94 Sumter, Kingstree, even 93 in Georgetown, 92 in Charleston, and 91 in Myrtle Beach, 93 in Hilton Island. Heat index values for tomorrow, it looks like that the majority of us will be trying to be above 100 here, but a couple of us may even be past 105. You see 106 in Moncks Corner, 106 in Charleston, 108 inside of Hilton Head Island. It's going to be hot tomorrow. Back to that summer heat after this cool down that we got. Maybe a little bit of today, yesterday, and then the day before. Heat's coming back, and I've been warning about the heat for the past couple of days now. So we should have known that heat was coming back. Now, in terms of rainfall, definitely still some shower activity is possible. It doesn't seem to be the most widespread, but you see Hilton Head Island, areas of Moncks Corner over there, maybe, and then other areas in the Tri-County area, and maybe a little bit up there towards that upstate, the foothills area. Isolated shower activity, scattered, is possible. In some areas, may even see around 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. Now, for the SPC outlook, we know what they like to do. They go in and update it around the 9 o'clock p.m. time frame. Seems like that not much has changed, if anything. And it looks like that they just took a little bit off from like Florence and Rock Hills, no longer included in there as well. But still, they still have the risk for thunderstorm activity. So I guess the ingredients are still there for all the low country, almost all the Midlands, almost all the upstate, and even a little bit of the western PD and Grand Train areas. Now, tomorrow, thunderstorms again are going to be a main problem for a lot of us still. You still see areas up there in the northern PD areas and the northern Grand Strand areas that are still going to stay on the not so light green side, but you never know. It's summer. They could expand this risk tomorrow, and you still could see a thunderstorm even if you're inside the light green. I mean, it is summertime. And then on Friday, again, thunderstorm activity, but this time for the entire state, so everybody has a chance for a thunderstorm on Friday. Excessive rainfall, we did have a risk for some isolated flash flooding over inside the low country area that was added later on today. Now, are we seeing any rainfall right now? No, not right now, but we are, we still have that risk for some isolated flash flooding over here inside the Tri-County area and also the western low country. Tomorrow we're good. And day 3, this is on Friday here. Isolated flash flooding for Salem going into Long Creek, going over into the Sumter National Forest, and a lot of other areas inside the state, up here in the foothills area just to the north of Walhalla and Pickens, that are included inside of that isolated flash flood risk. Saturday and Sunday comes along, we're not seeing anything here. The crazy score for tonight, we're at a 6. South Carolina is enjoying calm, pleasant conditions right now. No significant weather threats across the state. And honestly, makes sense. Does make sense. So let's go on now and take a look at the models. Time is at the bottom part of your screen. Please make sure that you go in and pay attention to that, as that is very, very important to do so as we go in and push this over into our short-term future. We're going to start off here at 9 p.m. You go over into tonight, and what do we see? Not much. Even as you go into tomorrow morning, we're not seeing much at all. Watch as we get into the afternoon hours, though, 1 to 2 o'clock p.m. Shower and thunderstorm activity going on now in the upstate, going on in areas like in the PD areas, going on in areas like the, honestly, more I should say Midlands, and then also areas in the low country as well, starting to see some shower activity. But the PD area starts to receive some by around 2, 3 p.m. or so. But watch as we get to around 3, 4 p.m., we start to see some more shower activity, some more thunderstorm activity, starting to really get going even as you go into 7 p.m. Moving forward. Now, as we move into around 12 o'clock in the morning, moving into Friday morning, again, that rainfall activity starts to calm down, but watch Friday. Friday has a typical summertime pattern here to where we're seeing pop-up showers, pop-up storms kind of going on from here and there, from every area, from the upstate down towards the coastal area. So I am really looking at this on Friday, seeing, is it going to be just that same active summertime day? Because Thursday shows an active summertime pattern. It does. But I'm not really seeing it too much, throughout almost every area at one time. But just taking a look at Friday, see how quickly it pops up from like 1 p.m. all the way to 2 p.m. You can see it almost spawns like instantly. So I am looking at it for tomorrow and then for Friday, trying to compare the two, seeing which one. But I do think that Friday probably will be the day that definitely there's going to be that potential for scattered showers and storms statewide, no matter where you are. And that kind of explains why they have that risk for thunderstorm activity, not including the entire state on Thursday, but then on Friday you see they cover the entire state with thunderstorm activity. So something to just watch for here. Now, as we go into the long-term future, we go in and push this forward. You can see that as we go into more Friday night, going into Saturday or so. Saturday comes along, we bring in some more rainfall activity, and then there goes the low pressure, or the area that we're going to be watching for in the tropics down here on the bottom part of your screen. That's the area of moisture. Let's see what it does. Well, as it goes on and pushes through Saturday, moving on into Sunday, it traverses, and watch how it brings all of that energy into the state. That's why I said, even if it's not a hurricane, even if it's not a tropical storm, it still could bring some good beneficial rainfall to us, or it could bring some gusty winds to it, or whatever it wants to do, however it wants to form, and wherever that low pressure is placed at. But it's still going to provide us with some sort of impacts. Now, as you go over into Monday, things kind of clear out a little bit, but still, we could still see some rainfall activity on Monday. Tuesday comes along, moving into Wednesday, and guess what? Another storm activity may be trying to come through, bringing in some cooler conditions maybe as we move into midweek of next week. We go into Thursday, moving on even into Friday and Saturday of not this week, but next weekend and next week here. And we can potentially see another storm system moving in later on throughout the month of July. Then as we move into the 29th here, things start to get a little bit out of whack. But one thing I will say is we now are far enough to get into the last day of July now. So we are moving closer and closer towards that end point. In fact, it technically is halfway through. It is pretty much halfway through July, or close to. Another thing that I also forgot to mention real quick is that we are also halfway through the week. So we can go in and give ourselves a round of applause for being halfway through the work week this week. Now, as we go on and take a look at our actual ensembles in terms of how much rainfall we could potentially receive, this is the GEFS, maybe 1.5, I see 1.6, 1.9. You see some pretty high totals here and there, but you can see some areas only around 3 inches or so as we move into the next 384 hours. So rainfall definitely is going to be a big area. You can even see where that low pressure is and how it's going to produce a good amount of rainfall down there in the Gulf and off of the coast of Florida. But we do have some good rainfall that's going to try and move its way through the state as we move throughout the next 300 to 400 hours. Now, the European model does also show us kind of more on that upwards track. You see around 2 inches in the upstate, 4 inches over in the low country, maybe even over inside of the Grand Strand areas. You're talking about 4.5 inches of rainfall or so. Now, as we go on and take a look at our actual temperatures, because precipitation, good to look at, and we know that we're on the upward trajectory here in terms of our rainfall. We know that we currently have a drought right now throughout the state. It expanded last time, or last week, we checked. So we want the rainfall. We need the rainfall, no matter where you are. Unless you're over there in that yellow area, you are inside of a drought right now. So I think that everybody should be hoping for rainfall no matter on where you are. And we'll see where we are tomorrow, because I know there was a good amount of location that saw some flash flooding as we went into this week, going into late parts of last week. So we'll see. We will see what happens here. But I do think that most of us should still be wanting that rainfall. Now, as we go and talk about the temperatures, now we're going to start off here on tonight. We go over into tomorrow, Thursday, going into Friday. We know it's going to be above average in terms of temperatures as we move into Friday. Saturday comes along even, and we are still 10 to 15 degrees above average. Sunday then comes in still around 10 degrees above average. Monday, moving on into Tuesday, still above average. And honestly, it looks like that next week could be a pretty hot week. Next week could be a pretty hot week as we move even into the end parts of the week. Now, I think once we move into that Thursday, that Wednesday going into that Thursday time frame, things are going to start cooling down, because remember I said a cold front will be moving through. And watch Thursday. Thursday, you see some areas around 0, you see some areas around 2, you see some areas around 6 degrees above average or so. But you don't really see anything, around 10 to 15. Then watch Friday. Friday comes in, again, you see some areas around 1 degree above average, some areas not even above average at all. So that cold front's going to come in and do some good. and drop some of those temperatures out as we go into next week, later on next week. And then watch another cold front system maybe trying to move in right on after it, bringing us around 8 to 10 degrees below average as we move into next weekend. Not this weekend, but next weekend. And even the week after. Even the week after, it could be below average. So we're, still not done with the warmer temperatures. Still not going to be done with it. But cooler temperatures are definitely on the way. Definitely are going to be on the way soon. And I think that we should definitely be preparing again for heat advisories, because heat advisories are most likely going to happen as we go into this weekend, going into early parts of next week. So just prepare for that heat, prepare for drinking lots of water if you're outside, to get outside early morning if you can, late evening, and just continue to go on and take those precautions for when it comes to the heat. Now, as we go on and take a look at our actual temperatures, starting off here tonight, going into tomorrow, we know that it's going to be hot. Tomorrow, we know Friday, as we move throughout the rest of the week, we know that it's going to continue to be hot up into the hundreds or so. We go over into Sunday, going even into Monday, still up into the hundreds. Tuesday, still 100 plus. But I'm really watching as we go into Wednesday night, going into Thursday, because that's when we start to see that cooler air start to move through. And yeah, we're still going to see maybe some high temperatures in the upper 90s or so as we move into Thursday, according to the GFS, as of now. But one thing that you do notice is that there are some areas that may not even get into the 90s in terms of high temperatures. Now, as you move into Friday, we're around like the upper 80s. You see even some mid 90s as we go into Friday of next week. Saturday of next weekend, we see that huge cool down start to come in. And then now we're starting to see some of those temperatures drop all the way down to the 70s. I mean, even by, 2 p.m. on Sunday of next weekend, you're only seeing, again, some 80s coming along. So cooler air definitely is making a return soon. And I think that a good relief is on the way here. Now, as we go on and take a look at those heat index values here, obviously we know heat index values are going to be up 107. I see some areas around 110 or so. So that's definitely nothing new. We've been seeing those types of temperatures coming in as we move into next week. And then if we go on and take a look at the ensembles here for the GFS first, going on and looking at the actual temperatures, because once you get around 200 hours out, things get a little bit unreliable. But one thing that you can notice here is that as we move later on into next week and going into the week after, is that temperatures will continue to kind of just average out in the mid 90s, and you don't really see too much of a change. I guess, obviously it is an ensemble, so, and once you get around 300 hours out or so, things get a little bit out of the ordinary here. So, even though the deterministic said that we would be, below average, doesn't necessarily mean that we will. Models change all the time. So, that cool down that we may be talking about the week after next week may be gone by tomorrow. So we're just going to continue to watch for it and continue to keep you updated on it. But that's all I have to say here for tonight in terms of the main forecast. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say here for tonight. Starting off with my Aunt Lula. She was here first tonight. She says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful day. Today's high in Georgetown was 91 degrees. With humidity was 97. Currently it's 82 degrees. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. At my house, it's around 82, feels like 91, and the high temperature today was 91 as well. So it's feel like temperature right now. It was my high temperature for today. I believe it felt around 100, 101, 102. Also, I'm checking this out now. If you have not hit the like button yet, please go on and do so. We've had 20 people tune in tonight, and we only have 8 likes. If you're a part of that group of 12 that have not hit the like button yet, please go on and do so. It's free, it's free, it's free. Also hit the subscribe button if you're new. We're at 766, trying to get to that main goal of 800. Trail says, greetings everyone, greetings to you. Mount Lewis says, today was a nice day, not too hot, no rain in sight. I really enjoyed the beautiful weather we had. I went out and a little bit and enjoyed it. Well, thank you so much for that information for all, and I'm glad that you're able to go in and enjoy the nice day today. My name says hello, Jano, hello to you, and then Mr. Anthony says good evening, everyone, good evening to you as well, and that's all that I can see here in terms of the chat for tonight. So we are going to go on real quick and ask the top fan question of the night for tonight. If you have no idea what the top fan question of the night is, it is a question that I asked, and I see who was paying attention. Who was paying attention? And again, it could be anything. It can range from questions from the beginning of the stream to right now. So you can go on and send in any sort of you can send in any sort of things on the email as well. I may pull something from there. Maybe if you're first tonight, or you're first on the live stream, the first chat, you may also grab it as well. Grab the top fan of the night, but I'm not doing that tonight. It's going to be just a regular question, because I still am watching for something, and I'm not seeing it still yet. So I'm just gonna have to continue to wait on that for whatever night that may occur on. But the question for tonight is going to be a pretty simple one. I'm not going to lie. I mean, honestly, you should be able to grab this in about 2 seconds, honestly. So I think if you were here for the Tropics, because that's what it's about, you should be able to grab this. And the question is, what area was I the most confident about? What area was I the most confident about? Not the area that I was the least confident about. What area was I the most confident and the most, I wouldn't say concerned, but the most looking at, the most, keeping an eye on. If you can give me either the disturbance, like disturbance 1, disturbance 2, or you can give me the area that it was in, you will win top fan of the night for tonight. So I'll be waiting on that answer. Again, that was a pretty simple one right there. We'll see who goes on and gets it. And there's only 2 answers, to be honest with you. There's only 2 options, 2 options. So it's a 50-50 shot. So now let's go on and talk about the 3 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking 3 areas. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 3 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go in and give them their forecast for them. Starting off, in Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight at 70, high temperatures for tomorrow at 100, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 75. No precipitation tonight, tomorrow, or tomorrow night. A haze definitely is going to impact you tonight and tomorrow. Not tomorrow night though. It will be over by tomorrow, like afternoon, evening or so. But that is due to the wildfire smoke that's going on up there inside of Canada. That smoke is obviously going to be a big problem for areas like up in the New England areas, for areas in the upper Midwest, the upper Great Lakes. I mean, those areas are going to get covered with smoke from Canada as you move into tonight, going into tomorrow, and further on. So, we're going to continue to monitor that for you. But like I said, just make sure that you're aware of that. For Philadelphia, it's even worse. So once we get to Philadelphia, obviously we will get there. No precipitation for you. Again, Saturday is your next chance of rainfall. And in terms of severe weather and excessive rainfall, you're good. Temperatures for you will also continue to stay pretty warm. I mean, you're going to be up to around 95 on Sunday. Monday, you're going to be down to around 91. But don't worry, by Wednesday of next week, you'll be up to around 95. For Philadelphia, low temperatures tonight at 77. High temperatures for tomorrow at 96. And low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. Smoke is going to be the big issue for you. Yes, even worse than Raleigh. Smoke is going to be an issue for you tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night. Slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow night as well. Severe weather, not expected, but excessive rainfall on Saturday. Isolated flash flooding is in the forecast for you. Now for your future, temperature-wise, you're going to continue to stay, into the 90s or so until you move into around Saturday, Sunday, to where you'll be up into around the 80s. But after that, you're not really going to see too much else there. Then as you go into your temperatures, you're also, or not temperatures, but for your rainfall, it looks like that you're going to kind of just stay more around that 80% on Saturday, 60% on Sunday, and then as you continue through into like Monday or so, you're going to continue to stay dry. Tuesday and Wednesday, you'll also be right back up. And then finally for Duncan, Oklahoma, low temperatures tonight at 69, high temperatures for tomorrow at 88, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 70. No precipitation tonight. Tomorrow, nothing. Nothing for tonight, but tomorrow you have a chance of shower activity, and then tomorrow night, slight chance of thunderstorm activity. It will be breezy. You will be seeing some wind gusts of up to around 30 miles per hour tonight, so it's going to be breezy out there for you. And then, in terms of, severe weather, excessive rainfall not expected. Your only chance of rainfall really is tomorrow and Friday, but after that it's going to be dry and it's going to be hot. Those high temperatures will be back up to around 100 on Monday, 102 on Tuesday, 101 on Wednesday. It's going to get back to being hot for you. And that's all that I have to say here for those three areas. What's going on in terms of the entire U.S.? Widespread, life-threatening, considerable flash flooding is expected in the south central Texas area through at least Friday. Catastrophic river flooding and rapid rises on small streams, arroyos, and typically dry washes are expected in the Texas Hill Country. Wildfire smoke is impacting air quality across much of the Great Lakes into the Northeast, with air quality alerts in effect. So yeah, like I said, if you know anybody all the way from Minnesota through Wisconsin, Michigan, through Chicago, through Indiana, through Ohio, all the way up into D.C., up into Maryland, up into Pennsylvania, New York City, through Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. I mean, anybody in those areas, even parts of Virginia as well, and even, I believe, parts of North Carolina. I know Charlotte's under an air quality alert as well. If you know anybody in those areas, let them know. Bad, air quality is going to be making their way towards them tonight, tomorrow. And then also some heat will continue in the Dakotas, through Montana, through Minnesota, even up into Washington State and Oregon, Idaho, and California. California will continue to be hot, with those high temperatures reaching up into the 90s or so, which I guess technically for them that is considered hot, with heat values of up to around 106. So I know for us, we're usually used to that, at this point in time, with those heat index values of up to around 105. But for them, not really. Over there in some parts of California, that's the reason why they have extreme heat warnings going on right now. Let me go in and check out the chat. I do see an answer, and it's the correct one. She got both. Mount Lula breaks the 2-day streak of nobody winning Top Fan of the Night for tonight for getting both parts correct. She gave the location and the disturbance name. It was disturbance number 2. So, congratulations to you. I'm going to give you a round of applause. That's all I have to say here for tonight. Make sure that you tune in tomorrow morning. And then My Story Angel says no relief at night. Yeah, absolutely not. No relief at night at all. These low temperatures, especially for the coastal areas, going to be up into the upper 70s, so no relief at all. But anyways, like I was saying, make sure that you tune in tomorrow morning for your Thursday morning forecast update, and make sure that you tune in tomorrow evening, Thursday evening. That's the drought forecast. That is the drought forecast. Also, make sure that you go and hit the like button. We've had 26 people tune in tonight and only 9 likes. If you're a part of that group of 17 that have not hit the like button yet, please go in and do so. Also, the subscribe button. Share with all the people that you know, friends, family members, acquaintances, anybody along those lines. I'll be back tomorrow. Hit those 2 buttons before you leave if you are new. And honorable mentions, I don't really see too much in terms of honorable mentions for tonight, so I'll be back tomorrow.